Today we're talking about smart locks, the ULTRALOQ Bolt Fingerprint Edition in particular. Let's get into it. A couple of videos ago, I was talking about how I wanted to continue my smart home progression and building out the protection suite, because with my smart home, the things that I wanted to focus on first were security, and then I would kind of build out from there. One of the kind of key pieces that I've been missing is a smart lock for my front door. At my previous house, I had a smart lock where you enter in a keypad, and that was good enough, but I know there are better options out there. Well, I mentioned that, and then UTech saw that video and reached out and asked if I wanted to try the ULTRALOQ Bolt Fingerprint Edition. And I said, absolutely. So they sent it out, and I've been testing it for about a week, and I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. Just a couple highlights up front is it's Wi-Fi enabled, so it doesn't need a separate hub. It just connects to your home internet, and you're good to go. It has fingerprint identification, which makes it very handy and very quick. It is Alexa compatible, Google compatible, SmartThings, I believe IFTT they are showing on the website, and HomeKit. So it's very well integrated. It has 8 AA batteries in it, so it's got the longest battery life of all smart locks on the market. And you can use their app to unlock it. You can use a keypad, you can use a key, you can use temporary codes, say if you're running an Airbnb, as well as a fingerprint. So, without further ado, let's get this unboxed and take a look at everything that comes in here. The interior slides out from the bottom. Very nice packaging. As we open it up, grab a little extra, a little sneak peek for you. There are some documentation, a couple QR codes, the quick install guide, and this nice cover. It's kind of like a semi-rigid foam, I would say. Next up here is the back of it. This is what will house all of the batteries and does all of the actual turning of the lock. Here you can see where the batteries will go. And here is the keypad with the connection and the lock turning. It's got all of the buttons, the thumbprint reader, fingerprint reader, the key lock. Here is the mounting plate that kind of secures everything together. Here is a door sensor. I probably won't be using this because I've got the other door sensor, but good to know. And comes with the 8 AA batteries, which is super handy. I love that they included those, and some mounting hardware. Here is the interior bolt components, and then a thing for the door jamb should you need it. All right, now that we're unboxed, let's get it installed. So I've already removed the existing door lock because it's a pretty standard process. First up is the bolt. When inserting it, remember to keep that up indicator pointing up because it kind of handles all of the alignment from here on out. And then you will use the 2 included screws to secure this to the door. Next, you'll install the keypad. You'll want to make sure that the turning mechanism is oriented the correct way when inserting it. And you will have the wires pass below the bolt mechanism, and then the interior turning rod will go through with the nub facing up so that it forms the T correctly through the bolt. You'll just push this on, and for the moment it just kind of sits there. And you'll then switch to the inside. Here you'll do the mounting plate. You'll want to pass through the wire in a vertical manner to get it through the center, and then drop it down into the bottom little slot for the wire to pass through, and keep in mind the direction of the up indicator. And then you'll insert the 2 long bolts that will secure this plate to the exterior keypad. It just uses a Phillips head wrench, screwdriver rather. Next up, we'll attach the back plate. You want to make sure that you get the wires oriented in the correct way with the white indicator facing up, and slide that into the receptor. Once it's in there, you can tuck the rest of the wire into the gap, and then the turning mechanism should slot into the back if everything's oriented correctly already. Finally, you'll attach this to that mounting plate with two tiny black screws that go through these pass-through holes. I couldn't use my original screwdriver because it was too fat, so I had to go and find this mini one. It would have been nice if they included it. Next, you'll insert the 8 AA batteries that came with the kit, and you will see the indicator light turn on to show that it is now powered on, and you will put the battery cover back on. Next, you'll want to open the door and press and hold the 5 to have it run through its automatic direction detection sequence. So this way you can mount it either way and the bolt will still operate correctly. And once that is done, you should be able to enter in the code that is on the inside of the battery cover plate, which is your default code, and you're good to go. Okay, so now that the lock is installed, I went through the process of setting the lock up in the app. So I'm just going to do a quick overview because it's a very intuitive app. So I don't think it needs a massive explanation, but I think it would be helpful just to kind of go over how it all works. So once you download the app from the App Store, you'll open it and it'll ask you to add a device. You click it, there's 4 categories. We're going to choose the lock. I'll address the other categories in the future video. Bolt fingerprint, just some warning next. And then as you can see, it sees the device on your network, you click it and it starts to add it. It'll do this load process. Then there's a code on the back of the battery cover that you're gonna program, like enter into this, and that's how you kind of recognize it, and it's gonna be called the program code. Once it does that, it'll ask you to create what it calls an admin code. This is your user specific unlock code. Once you enter it in, the program code becomes invalid. You can't use it to unlock it unless you reset the lock. So that first code it's not a huge deal if somebody else gets a hold of it once you set it up. Then much like other smart home apps, you're just going to select it, name it, put it, mark what location it's in, and then you'll go through the process of setting up the direction of the lock. So you'll press next. It'll do that same process where it twists it to make sure that it's in the correct orientation. Once it's done with that, you'll go to the next screen where it'll ask you to join the Wi-Fi network. Here you're just going to enter in your network's password, and it will start to connect to the network and verify the connection is valid. Once that's complete, you're going to land on this screen where you can see your devices. So we'll click into that, and as you can see, it's locked. I can press the lock and unlock button and it will lock and unlock the door. You can come down to the user access button and see the area zone. So I'm the only one at the moment. You can do the passcode, or you can set up a fingerprint. And this is just like setting up a fingerprint on any other device, where you're gonna press and raise your fingerprint multiple times as it kind of gets a read of all the different angles. And you can do up to 2 fingerprints per user. Once this is done, you'll be able to walk up and just put your finger, in my case I chose the thumb, right on the lock, and it's very quick. It's extremely fast. Then once that's done, you can enter in your own code again. You can also go back and create additional users. So now we'll add Tara. She'll be a normal user, but admin is the same as you. You can do everything. Normal user has full access, then you can do a temporary user. So once you add a new user, it'll ask you, do you want to do a fingerprint? We're going to skip that. We're going to give her her own code. Then once this is done, you can choose to invite them and send them an email. So like if you have people that are permanently around in your house, you can send it, then they'll have full access to your app, to the app with your lock. I'm just going to skip this because the code's fine for us. All right, so now let's do the other kind of fun functionality and set up a temporary user for, let's say, like a plumber. So I'm just going to name this a plumber, obviously, and we're going to go with temporary user. We don't want a fingerprint because, again, temporary user. We can give them their own code. And you could also do this for like Airbnb, so you could rotate through a couple different codes and just set them for when they'll be active. The difference is when they're a temporary user, you get this schedule screen where you can choose the start and end time of the days and how often you want them to repeat. I'm just going to set it to 1 day because we're just showing that this is temporary. But let's say you have like a house cleaner that comes over 3 times a week. You could set it so they only have that code that's accessed during their time and they can't come back just whenever they want. Very handy. And as you can see, you can limit the number of times it can be used. You don't have to, but I think this is a super cool feature, and I haven't really seen this anywhere else. I mean, to be fair, I've only tested a couple of them, but I really like this. And as you can see, the app has other functionality to it. We're not going to get into that today. I'm going to save that for the next video when I kind of go over some of the other products that they have. But that's just a general overview of what it takes to get the ULTRALOQ Bolt Fingerprint Edition set up on your house. As I mentioned, I've been using this for a week now, and I think overall my impression is very, very positive. Compared to my other smart lock that I had at my old house, it's got way more functionality in it, and it's just very useful to have an application where you can set up codes for new users or temporary codes, and you don't have to go to the physical device to make that happen. I also really like the fingerprint reader. I call it a thumbprint reader, but you can do any finger. I think it's extremely quick. I would highly recommend this to anybody. That's just kind of my take on it. And I will also have a link to these products as well as the other devices that they sent. So if this interests you, make sure to click that link and check it out. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. If you have any comments on this device, let me know and I'll respond to them. And as always, I will see you around the bend.